What's going on, everyone? It's Zach with the Wicked Heavy Podcast, and in today's episode, I sit down with Giuseppe Capolupo, drummer of one of my favorite bands of all time, The Devil Wears Prada, as well as Haste and Once Nothing. This was an incredibly engaging conversation. We really went deep. As you will hear, Giuseppe is an amazing storyteller, so I really felt like I was there with him, living these experiences that he was sharing with me. So, Giuseppe, first of all, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and really getting into it with me, because I really enjoyed our conversation, man. We cover a lot of topics within music and, of course, heavy music. We discussed the snare bomb. We discussed Chapel Roan and so much more. So let's get right into it. I really hope you all enjoy this conversation with Giuseppe Capolupo on the Wicked Heavy Podcast. Giuseppe, my dude, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Dude, thanks so much for having me, man. It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. We were just talking about it. I think 2017, the last time we crossed paths.
That's too long.
I know. The Data Remember tour with you guys, Falling in Reverse. Who else was on that tour?
Data Remember, Falling in Reverse. Papa Roach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
Papa
That
Roach.
was my first time seeing Papa Roach, too. They killed it.
Dude,
that was a cool tour.
That was a wild tour. That was my first like small arena tour.
Yeah.
Just like having all the flight cases get forklifted and every day, I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is fancy. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, that was fun, man. I got to throw the toilet paper, all that stuff during the Data Remember. So wow.
I just noticed you're rocking the Chapel Roan hat too. That's so good.
Thank you, man. You too.
Death metal Chapel Roan hat. I'm in.
I ordered myself a Midwest Princess hat. It was like back ordered, but dude, I am like critically obsessed with all of her tracks right now. But yeah, that album just rips. So thank you,
dude. Also a fan. Also big fan. Ooh. We'll get into that too.
I think so. Okay. But yeah, dude, tell me about. I'm going to go to this tour. Tell me about the upcoming Eternal tour. It looks amazing, and I can't wait, bro.
I just got the official set list and my rehearsal tracks the other day. It is covering a lot of ground.
Oh, dude.
It's a very, I'm not even going to spoil anything.
No,
It's a very ambitious set list. It's very ambitious.
Wow.
And it's like, and it's funny too, because this is also coming right off of the back of Furnace Fest.
Yeah.
As well as When We Were Young.
Oh, wow.
So like, not to mention double dutying with Haste Today for Furnace Fest. So,
right, dude.
oh
man.
well, I'm not even going to complain too much, because I just met a gentleman by the name of Jared. Let me look it up just to make sure I'm not pronouncing his last name incorrectly. Jared Shavelson.
Okay.
He plays drums he was in town playing for Joyce Manor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A couple weeks ago. But dude plays for Boy Sets Fire, Bronx, Ways Away, Hope Conspiracy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so when I'm like, oh my gosh, I overbooked myself, I like saw his stats. I'm like, nah, I'm not overbooked.
Yeah.
I just need to suck it up and get it done.
There you go, man. That's sick though. That's fun. Wow, double duty at Furnace Fest. I've never been to a Furnace Fest, but it does seem like the place you want to be if you like this kind of music.
Yeah, it's awesome too, which like I know we're gonna touch on later for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Eternal tour, dude, it's gonna be a good one. It's a stack bill. I mean, Alex Camarena from Silent Planet is one of my favorite drummers in the scene, period. Like, that dude has got the pocket, he's got the feel, like that, and he hits like a tank, and he's just such a joy to be around. Yep. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Very good drummer hangs there for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, I got a lot of work to do, a lot of practicing to do, getting up to both Furnace Fest as well as When We Were Young, and then get in for the tour.
Fun, man. And for you, now you're the shop manager at Hawthorne Drum Shop.
Yeah.
Is that's in, I don't know if it's like in Pittsburgh. Is it like outside of Pittsburgh slightly?
It is approximately about seven
Oh, okay.
and a half miles from downtown.
Nice. So close. I was
So
looking at the
closer,
address. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah. So closer, like for a lot of major cities where it's like, oh, you're 45 minutes outside of Chicago and you're still in Chicago.
Right.
It's like a smaller scale that, but there's also places in Pittsburgh, like where I grew up back in the South Hills, that's like a 40-minute drive from where I live now in the city, and it's still Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
That's
so
cool, man.
the shop's still considered Pittsburgh. It's actually in an area called McKees Rocks. But Chris
Yes.
Hawthorne, the owner, he took me in under his wing in late December of 2021. He had been already operating in in a different location, strictly by appointment only, for many years before I jumped in with him, because his big thing has been drum restoration, refurbishment, reselling, and e-commerce.
Got it. I was going to ask about that because I love watching you play the kits that come through. So I'm like, they're always like vintage. This seems like a great time.
It's honestly, it's a dream. Like working with Chris and working, under Chris, learning about all these vintage kits. Because when I started working with him, I knew like the bare bones basics.
Right.
But then you get in there starting to be able to like look at badges on drums and be like, oh, I know what era this is.
Yep.
Looking at a bearing edge and be like, I know what kind of cut this is.
Right.
It was a very large learning curve, but it's just as specialized as like, when I was still tending bar, learning cocktail recipes and the history of distillation practices and spirits. It was very much putting in the time to learn about something that you care about and are willing to soak in that knowledge from somebody that has such experience like Chris,
right?
Who honestly like gave me an opportunity when that time during the pandemic, there really wasn't anything going on. Tours weren't happening yet. I couldn't even get like warehouse work because everybody was just not hiring. And he was like, hey, why don't you swing by the new shop? Let's have a beer. I want to pick your brain about some stuff.
Shout out to Chris. That's cool, man.
Shout out to Chris. He's a saint. He is an incredible human. Knows more about drums than a lot of people I know.
I bet.
And working there is honestly a dream. Like I'm at a point now where my life actually revolves around drums, and I've been dreaming about that since I was a kid.
Good for you, man. And we'll get into that kid portion, but real quick. So do you have a practice space, or do you practice at the shop?
I have a practice space inside the building the shop is in.
That's awesome. Wow.
So literally I walk out the door of my shop, hang right into the hallway by like 20 feet, and my rehearsal space is right there. And there's another guy, one of our other coworkers, Aaron, he's got a little rehearsal room in that same hallway. And then our other buddy, Caden, who plays drums for this awesome band called Pool Kids.
Wow.
He's also in the same hall as well. So it's awesome because we all have keys to the building. So we have 24-hour access whenever we need it. Temperature control. It's just like any other space, but it's such a drummer collective. It's a really, really, really cool thing. Just because the people that you get coming through, because it's kind of off the beaten path per se. We don't get a lot of foot traffic in the shop because it's just far enough outside of like the actual metro area.
Right.
Where if you're going to the shop, it's specifically you sought us out.
Yeah.
You didn't, unless you're playing the Roxy Theater, which is a couple doors down from us. You don't just stumble into the shop. You're looking for it. Intentional
drum shredders are coming there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone listening, go to Hawthorne Drum Shop if you're in Pittsburgh.
I always half jokingly say when people come in for the first time, I'm just like, hey, welcome to the candy shop.
Yeah.
Chris always makes fun of me. But every time I walk into that shop and he's got, new drums and new snares and all these cymbals for me to make demo videos and try out and work on and restore, it's just like every morning is just Christmas morning there. I walk in, I'm like, oh, what treats are here today?
Nice, dude.
It's awesome. A really, really, really awesome thing.
Good for you, man. All right, so this dream, you said you dreamt of doing something like this or being surrounded by drums, living, breathing drums since you were a kid. Take me back to before even thinking or knowing you were going to play drums, dude. When you first heard music, what was it? What were you listening to? What inspired you?
I'm going to rewind it very, very far back.
Yeah, all the way.
I can't remember the exact year specifically, But my oldest memory of like me having any sort of musical ability, I was little enough that I was up on someone's shoulder, with a microphone, singing an old traditional Italian song called Regine la Campagnola in my Uncle Tony's restaurant out in Monroeville called D'Imperio's.
Wow.
And somebody, I can't remember if it was like one of my aunts or uncles or maybe my parents had like a video, like a VHS tape of this. And I'm, wearing my little suit and tie. I must have been like, I don't know, like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like I was a child, like a toddler in a way. But I'm half Italian, half Irish, and growing up in a very, very like first generation Italian American family, like I picked up my dad's dialect pretty quickly. So it was an easy thing, but there was just like a lot of like classical Italian songs, my dad would sing to us when we were kids. Just a lot of really cool history there.
Wow.
And my dad was an absolute beast at the accordion, like a phenom.
Wow.
He played in a band when he was a kid back in Italy. But now he's a retired civil attorney, 80 years old, still can't sit still, just like me. That's where I keep my constant go attitude from. It's definitely my dad. But so there was that moment of me singing this little Italian song in an Italian restaurant with these like walking Italian minstrels in a way that are walking through, with an accordion and this guy singing classical Italian dinner music, like a scene from the Goodfellas. And there's also every year in August we have this traditional Italian picnic that's hosted by the Calabrian Club of Pittsburgh.
All right.
And there used to be this live band that would play at the picnic every year. And there's also a video of me up there with the band.
Nice.
As like a little kid with this little plastic saxophone, just blowing into it, having the time of my life.
Yeah.
And fast forward a couple years, so I think I was 9. This is when things like really kind of took a hold. Every year at Christmas, we'd go back to my Aunt Rosetta's house in Elizabeth.
Okay.
And she always had this Casio keyboard in her like front like living room den area. And I would sneak away during the Christmas dinner, like post-Christmas dinner, while the adults are having cake and coffee.
All right.
And turn on the little radio that she had next to it, switch on the Casio keyboard, turn the volume down, and I would try and emulate whatever I heard coming out of the radio. Ends up I had a bit of an ear for it.
Okay.
And I have this ability to be able to like listen to something melodically and pick it out and stumble my way through it pretty quickly.
Wow.
And that just kind of like developed over the years. What my parents really paid attention to that when I was 9, and were like, we got to get him piano lessons because there's something there. He's gifted.
Nice.
And I just kind of ran with it. My parents got me classical piano lessons. They got me my own keyboard for my birthday. Not long after they bought me a keyboard, they bought my older brother a drum kit for Christmas one year.
Oh.
But even before that, even before we get to drums, I went piano, then guitar.
Oh, okay.
Then drums, because my dad randomly one day bought this electric guitar and this little amplifier. And I was fascinated by this thing. I was like, I've always had like average size, just I'm a smaller guy. I'm 5'4", now I'm 150 pounds. I'm thickening up finally.
Hey.
But as a kid, I was always the runt of the litter. I'm the middle child of 3 boys, and both of my brothers are like these muscular, fit guys. And like I finally caught up to them.
There you go.
But back then, I was always the smaller dude. So I always had trouble, playing a lot of like the guitar tabs and stuff that I would be looking at. So when I first started playing guitar, I would really only use my index and my middle finger to fret. And still to this day, like I'm finally getting more accustomed to like playing things with my pinky now at 37
It's
years
hard,
old.
man.
But back then I was still just like riffing with just these two and figuring it out. But around that same time, my parents bought my older brother a drum kit, and he was fascinated for a while because he was actually taking drum lessons in elementary school, so they had him on a practice pad at first at school. And he was definitely he was starting to get more into sports than he was invested into drums. So whenever he wasn't behind his drum kit, I'd sneak down there. I'm like, once again, putting on headphones and trying to play along to whatever the heck came on.
Yep.
And I remember like one of the first songs I heard where I was like, I need to figure out that intro was the intro fill from Spin Doctor's Two Princes.
Mm-hmm. That
double stroke roll into that little roll down the tom thing.
Yep.
I remember hearing that on the radio one day. I was like, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I don't know what he's doing, but I need to figure that out. And it took me a while, but Lord, did I figure that out. And I just I still to this day listen to that record, that Spin Doctors record. I think it's called Pocket Full of Kryptonite.
Okay.
I think that, let me look it up just to make sure I'm not misquoting this.
We'll confirm.
Because that record, front to back, has just banger after banger after banger. Yeah, it was Pocket Full of Kryptonite.
There you go.
It came out in 1991.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
But listening to that record, like nowadays, like I was putting it on at the shop the other day,
mm-hmm.
and we have one of those JBL party box speakers, like the really big one.
Yeah.
And hearing that record through that speaker, I'm just like, this record sounds unbelievable. Wow. Like, I don't even know who mixed or mastered anything, but looking back at that time, I'm like, this is a perfect, like, alternative rock, like, alternative radio rock record. The mix, the quality, like, I even think probably about a year or so ago, maybe even not that long ago, I even did just like a little Instagram reel where I was playing both guitar parts and one of the drum parts for one of the songs.
Hell yeah.
I think it's called Refrigerator Car. That was off that record.
Yeah, I think really I remember seeing this.
Yeah, it was like that really cool time signature with that dirty rock and roll riff over top of it.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of my love for music definitely goes back to a lot of just like super nostalgic moments.
Yeah.
Kind of postmarked in my life, you know, whether that was with friends and my family.
Of course.
Like my mom and I have this awesome relationship surrounding the band Little Feat.
Okay.
One of the first vinyls of hers that I really took a liking to, it was Little Feat's Waiting for Columbus. It was the double disc, which was recorded live at the Lisner Auditorium in, I think, like the mid-70s.
Wow. And
it's just the drums, the auxiliary percussion, like all the orchestration on that record. It's very, like, in a way, kind of jam bandy.
Yeah.
But my mom was an art teacher and had a private ceramic studio in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. And anytime I'd be down there, you know, working on art or painting, or she'd be teaching us some ceramic stuff, she would always be jamming out some sort of music down there. Yeah. So I think from an early age, I got such a variety of music from both my dad and my mom, because they're about 15 years in age difference.
Okay.
As well. My mom was in university, and my dad was already working for the Attorney General's office.
Wow.
Whenever they met.
Yeah.
Talk about a tale of two cities.
Yeah. Wow.
But you know, so from my dad, I got Motown, the crooners, Italian folk music.
Yeah.
And then from my mom, I got classic rock, southern rock, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, REO Speedwagon, Little Feat, Bonnie Raitt. A lot of like 90s country of that era. Like I fell in love with Shania Twain.
Yeah.
You know, she got me into Genesis, Phil Collins, Kenny Loggins, Yes, like all the stuff of that era that we as musicians look back to the greats now in our 30s, looking at all the stuff, you know, Jeff Porcaro was doing with Toto, you know, the Rosanna Shuffle. Yeah. Like that era of music is so ingrained in all of us. And now in our 30s, I mean, even younger now are looking back at that era and fully appreciating it, and like,
of course,
remembering why our parents gave it such pause, and we're so like insistent upon us paying attention to it back then. And of course, as kids, we were all stubborn, like, no, I want to listen to my Limp Bizkit.
Right.
I want to listen. I want to listen to Korn. I want to listen to anything that came on the big rock radio station here in Pittsburgh was 105.9 The X.
Okay.
So that was like that was where we got our like heavy alternative from.
Yeah.
But yeah, so around 9-10 years old, that was when I really started delving into drums. And I started out in middle school. I was part of like the student orchestra thing, and then in jazz band as well. And I started taking lessons from a local gentleman by the name of Brian Burchak.
Okay.
And I was too young to remember why he stopped giving lessons, but when I asked my mom like whatever happened with that, I don't know if she was just making this up to gas me up or if this was an actual fact, but she said that I was learning things so quickly at that age that he couldn't keep up with how quickly I was learning.
Oh, wow.
So I was already getting to the level, at least for playing wise, maybe not so much like the theory. Like I still had some difficulty sight reading drum charts. Just I couldn't immediately read them. I could sit down, look at them while listening to like the song and be like, okay, yeah, I can follow this along now. But I couldn't sit down and sight read. I learned everything very dangerously quickly by ear or by watching.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching somebody sit down and play rudiments, I'm like, what's a sticking on that? Okay, that's a paradiddle diddle. Okay, cool, got it, done.
All right. Okay.
And I was picking things up. So according to my mother, she said you were very proficiently learning at a aggressive pace, and he felt bad that we were paying him to just cement things in and go over. So he was like, I gotta step back.
Let's believe it. I believe your mom.
I'm a Leo, so I will receive that.
Yeah.
I'll receive that. I will take that victory and be like, okay, maybe it was good back then. I don't know. I can't say because my memory doesn't go back that far that well.
Right.
But that was right around the time that I was going into high school.
Okay.
And excuse me 1 second.
All good, man.
It was right around the time I was going into high school, and I remember being obsessed, like so stoked to join drumline.
Yep.
And that just further put me down the trajectory of just being completely obsessed with drums. Every waking second that I could be spending either in study hall or homeroom, just in the band room behind doing something musical.
Yeah.
Like I'd be in it.
That's awesome. Okay. You were really, you were just like zoned in, like music.
Yeah. Like, and for that, I definitely, I wasn't a bad student in school. I just I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, I didn't know yet that what I had was actually a learning disability, as well as very extreme case of ADHD.
Oh, okay.
It honestly wasn't until about 2 years ago that I finally actually got diagnosed for ADHD. But I knew that back then I knew there was something wrong because I couldn't focus on anything that wasn't immediately pleasing me. If it wasn't music or if it wasn't something fun or grabbing my attention, I was just like, all right, on to the next thing.
Yep.
But the learning disability for me, I could not retain information by reading if you force fed it to me.
Got it.
The last time I read a book, I cannot tell you how long ago it was.
Right.
Start to finish. My mind, even now that I'm medicated and, I've been through therapy and everything for it, it's I don't enjoy reading.
Right.
Which is definitely a hindrance. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot there, and audiobooks don't do it for me.
Okay.
And that my biggest takeaway from high school was no matter how many times I have to read these chapters, read these essays, read these things, I'm not going to remember it.
Got it.
The only thing I remembered poems. I remembered music.
Okay.
Random facts about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But No, my brain was always just completely overtaken with music.
Yeah.
Like even
I mean,
from
yeah.
a young,
So where the lack of attention was with, let's call it the reading or some of the academic stuff, it was kind of, you had a greater level though of interest in
yeah,
music, which is a cool thing, man. And
yeah.
you filled that interest.
It was definitely a gamble in the early years, post high
Right.
school.
Right.
I did a very very brief stay at Duquesne University for business administration and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even finish out the first semester. I was like, nope, not for me.
Right.
And that's when Once Nothing started touring.
Wow.
Even before then, in early high school, I played guitar for a screamo band called Renfield.
Okay.
That was like if Finch and Census Fail
Ooh.
and early Glassjaw made a weird, confused love child, that would have been the high school band that I played guitar for.
Sounds like a cool love child, man.
It was a lot of fun, but that was like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we started listening to. The
Right.
first concert I ever went to,
Ooh.
where the front men were screaming.
Yep.
I think I was 14, 13,
Mm-hmm.
13 or 14. At a venue in Pittsburgh that is no longer. It was called Club Laga.
All right.
It was opening the show was American Nightmare,
Wow.
the Blood Brothers, Coheed and Cambria, and Glassjaw.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Yeah, I still haven't seen Glassjaw, and they're definitely on my list.
One of my favorite bands.
Of
I know
course.
there's like, it's one of those bands where people either love them or hate them. I am 100% on
Yeah.
that. I
Oh,
love
dude.
that band. I will, anytime they're through Pittsburgh or even remotely close, I will spend money and go see that band.
Yeah, man.
You know how like a lot of people, at least in our genre, definitely had that kind of following with Every Time I Die.
Of course.
Like Glassjaw was my Every Time I Die.
There you go.
For sure.
Yeah.
I remember I've seen them countless times, and
So sick.
to me, it's never gotten old. I got to see Head Automatica once.
Yep.
And that was cool. It was a lot different, and I knew it was going to be different.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to be more like disco party, shake your tail feather kind of vibe, but it was still cool. I think for me, it was more of a, I will always give anything Daryl Palumbo touches a fair shake.
Yeah. Whole band rips, like the bass player, dude. Like I think about him a lot when I listen to Glassjaw. And of course the drummer too, but the bass for me is like, oh, this dude just dancing on those strings, just crushing it.
Oh yeah, like with the way that those guys use effects pedals and processing, it's like unbelievable. Especially live too. Like I love that the guitarist has just got hood all the way up, almost covering his face. He's got his guitar so high up, and he's just like rocking all these effects pedals for all these cool parts. And I think that was something I'd always really appreciated about that band, even from early on, is they were always so heavy into like guitar effects and stuff. In that same vein of like At the Drive-In, with Omar Rodriguez, like just all the stuff those guys do on guitar. And I think for me, that whole like Glassjaw as a band was all encompassing, all of the things that just satiated my brain with what I wanted. It had like crazy songwriting, it had the groove, it had the crazy vocals, and he had this live energy on stage that, to me, at that young age, I was just like, this dude is so angry about something. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I am in, and I feel that. Like, I feel that from the performance that he is giving on stage. I feel that.
Yep. And captivating. Yeah.
Yeah. And even with American Nightmare, they I remember them opening, looking back on it, they open with AM PM.
Man.
And I was like, and people are like starting to like slam dance in a pit. And I'm just like, and like young me, I'm just like, I've like seen this, and like, I've seen people do this, but like being in such like it was like I think a 350, 400 cap venue.
Yeah.
And it was like packed in there. I'm like, oh, these people are like swinging for blood.
Right. Is this high school?
I was about to be a freshman.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
So I was just kind of like,
wow, what is going on?
Yeah. This is crazy.
Whoa.
And literally as soon as I saw that, that concert, dude, I just started going down the wormhole.
Okay.
You know, like street punk, hardcore,
Yeah.
metalcore. That was of that same era that like Hope's Fall was starting to like put out music. Across 5 Aprils, Winter Solstice.
Wow.
I don't know if Winter Solstice was that long ago, but like very quickly everything started snowballing. Because my sophomore year in high school was when I first discovered Once Nothing.
Okay.
I was part of a Presbyterian church youth group, and we had this event called the Caffeine Scene. And I was playing, I was switching off playing guitar and drums for like the like student like worship band kind of thing. And the hosts of that Wednesday night event were like, once a month we're gonna like bring in a band from a different genre that has like Christian background to like, you know, play music and, you know, talk about their journey, whatever. And me and my band boys, my little Renfield squad at the time, we had this thing called Suit Wednesdays, where every Wednesday we would just wear suits to school just because.
That's cool.
And we go to the Caffeine Scene that night. Once Nothing's playing, and their one guitarist, Ryan Carroll. This dude is like, I kid you not, like 7 feet tall. Like, and when I say this band was like early Chariot level insane live.
Oh, dude.
How these dudes still have functioning spines is beyond me. Like, these dudes back then were going hard in the paint, just like headbanging their skull off their freaking shoulders, man.
Yeah, man.
And Ryan Carroll, that guitarist, I'm like front row, just like, this is the best thing ever. This is in the church basement, and I am stoked right now. And they even covered Light Blue Collar by Norma Jean.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I didn't know what that was at the time, but I discovered, literally because of that, I discovered Norma Jean that night.
Yeah. Wow.
And from there, went even further down the rabbit hole. But I remember this tall guitarist, Ryan Carroll. He's on his knees in front of me and still as tall as me, whipping his guitar around his head, throwing his guitar, doing the guitar swing. I'm just like, what? Is this a family friendly stream, or is this a watch what I say stream?
Oh no, you're good. Say whatever you want, bro.
Cool. I
thought you were saying that's what you were asking him on stage.
No. I just like, I have the mouth of a sailor, but
you're good, man.
I can curb it when I need to.
No, I think it's fine. I'm not like, you're good.
And I just remember having my mind completely blown by watching that band.
Yeah.
And that the wild good foreshadowing. What's good foreshadowing? Is there a word for that?
Good foreshadowing, like the build up or the
I guess the anticipation.
That's how I was going to say, anticipation.
Without knowing to anticipate something.
Yeah.
Even before I joined Once Nothing, there were some local guitarists that I had met from the early days of like going to concerts and stuff.
Okay.
That wanted to start like a metalcore band or a metal band. And one of the youth pastors at this Presbyterian youth group, bunch of tattoos. Yeah. Like built like a brick shit house. His name's Darren Belijack is his name.
Okay.
And I discovered that he was into bands, you know, like As I Lay Dying and like all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, like I think this might be our guy. Yeah. I'm a kid. I don't know the first thing about looking for like a metal vocalist. Yeah. But he seems to have a bit of a commanding stage presence and is into this music. Let's give him a shot. Yeah. And formed Demise of Eros, who after I left later went to go sign to Face Down. Wow. So I was the original drummer of Demise of Eros. And then passed over because I was still too young to tour, really. Right. And those guys wanted to like start doing stuff. Yeah. So I resigned, and a guy by the name of Joey Solak, who is a local guy, like the hi-hat press. That's a Joey Solak original.
No kidding.
Yes, sir. He is the OG. Whoa. And this dude was one of those guys that just always had like such an incredible stage presence. Yeah. And
Oh, that's cool.
And was one hell of a drummer too, still to this day.
Yeah.
And he right after that, I was still finishing out high school,
mm-hmm.
and they were starting to do some weekend touring with Once Nothing. And I remember going to Once Nothing original drummers. Here's some wild foreshadowing.
Ooh, okay.
Going to Once Nothing's drummers and guitarist last show ever.
Okay.
At Mr. Smalls, which is like the local at the time, like the venue to play in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Still is. It's a incredible venue just down the hill from us.
All right.
And I remember going to that show, and they were supporting Haste the Day.
Oh wow. Okay.
You want to talk about some like weird coincidence shit?
Man.
Like,
oh shit.
And that was their last show, and I was going to take over for drum duty for Once Nothing after that.
Wow.
So I joined in with Once Nothing, and I wrote and toured with them from 2005 until 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, toured all over the country. We didn't make it international, but we released an EP with CI Records in Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
We released a full length with Solid State.
Yeah,
that's how I got to meet Jimmy Ryan from Haste Today and Chad Johnson at Tooth and Nail.
Okay.
So by the time Once Nothing decided to hang it up, I think Devin was going back from Haste Today, was going back to seminary, and Jimmy Ryan was working for Tooth and Nail. So Jimmy Ryan was the assistant A&R that signed Once Nothing to Solid State.
Oh my God, everything's connected.
Yeah. So when he got news of Once Nothing split, and he's like, Haste's looking for a drummer if you want to audition.
There you go, man.
And I was
right place, right time, knowing the right people. That's what's up.
I was like, pray tell.
Yeah.
So drove out to Indianapolis. Well, I sent him a couple videos.
Yep.
After learning a couple of their songs.
Yep.
And then I went out to Indianapolis for like a formal audition. And it was like, yeah, like you're in.
Sick.
Unreal, and obviously there was like a bit of growing pains in there with joining a professional touring band and me being the loose cannon at the time that I was.
Yeah. So how old are you at this point?
This would have been 2009, 2000. Just freshly 21 or 22, I think.
Okay. Right into it. Nice.
Yeah. And this was like really when my ADHD and like temper and anger management problems were really rearing their ugly head.
Okay.
So, and joining a very actively Christian band was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was still Christian, but I was not devout.
Okay. Understood.
And there was still like Bible studies happening on tour and like,
wow.
Yeah, like no drinking on tour rule kind of thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like very, very serious in that area. But looking back on it now, I understand why. Having survived the realm of the Christian heavy music scene.
Yeah.
The gauntlet, if you will.
Right. Wow, man.
It's wild looking back on a lot of things that were considered normal in that scene, tying the idea of religion into heavy music and then presenting this to people that are coming from broken homes or difficult situations that want to come to a place where they feel seen and heard. But that was music with or without religion attached to it.
Correct, yeah.
And for me personally, now I feel that like putting that kind of a title on things, it kind of puts people into a box.
Right.
And it complicates things for a lot of people. So I'm happy to be a part of an era now that moved past putting these names and these titles on all of this stuff. It's like, I just want to play fucking music, man. Yeah. I want to play music to whoever wants to listen to it, whoever cares enough to spend their hard-earned money coming to a show and hanging out. Like
whoever it speaks to, it makes them feel something. That's exactly. Really, you're right though, because like I remember back then, like I would love still like Prada and As I Lay Dying Under Oath, and people would be like, "Well, aren't they like Christian? Isn't that weird?" I'm like,
Yeah.
No, I don't think
was,
so. I don't feel weird.
well, that's the thing. There was always like a weird stigma with it for people that didn't understand what it was. And it's like, if you remove the idea that it is attached to a religion, it is simple entertainment and a place for us misfits to get together.
100%.
And with or without the religion, that's always how I looked at it. And I feel, especially now, like I had some of the most life-altering conversations with people that weren't religious or weren't spiritual over, a couple stiff whiskeys and a couple packs of Camel Lights at a bar.
Yeah.
And got better fellowship than I did, hang out with Christians.
Totally, man.
And I think there is definitely a correlation to the passion of heavy music and people that are passionate about, their beliefs or their ideals.
Of course.
There's a lot of crossover there, which is, meeting kids and people and adults along the way that were only allowed to listen to music if it came from like a Christian bookstore or it had like a Christian message. Like looking at that way of life through these people's eyes and from their shoes and their perspective, it really it helped me with perspective, because I think as someone that's not an avid reader, my best way to learn new things and ideas is by having conversations with other people, just to kind of see where they're sitting and hear their stories and see where they're at. And I think that ultimately having the ability to meet people at concerts and hear their stories is just as important than me being in a band and getting up on stage and doing this thing. People putting us up on this weird pedestal.
Right.
Like I'm not as good about getting out into the crowd and mingling like I used to be, as much as I would like to be.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is I've been doing this for a very long time, and I get very sleepy very quickly. I'm borderline narcoleptic.
Gotcha.
So after I get off stage, I'm like, I think it's time for now.
Yeah.
But every once in a while I get that third wind and I'll go run around, and just after the show is starting to let out a little bit.
Yeah.
And, just go do like a quick lap. And every once in a while someone will stop me and just say hey, and, clap up and high five, thank them for coming out. And every once in a while you get to have like a really cool conversation with someone that you were just not expecting.
Yeah. And
it's Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, for me, like, I got the Prada poster behind me. I mean, I've been a day one Prada dude. Like, I've seen Prada more than any other band, actually, that I've ever liked. I mean, I've definitely been to the most shows, and it's Prada, the band I've been to the most. So, for me, your music, I think, in terms of, like, people my age who grew up in the scene, your music has been, like, I want to say, the most consistent in how deep it can, like, reach into moving people and like lyrically and just compositionally. Like when I like the newest record, when I listen to it, I think, man, every note and every measure that these dudes put together is very intentional. And I feel like, as long as you guys keep doing that, you're always going to be like this band to people, which is like invoking very specific, like, emotions that just make you feel super connected to the music. The song that really does it for me is Noise. To me, that song is so perfect from front to back. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm like, they know exactly what they were doing with this when they wrote it, and it gets the right emotion that they were trying to do. I know it does. It's just unbelievable, man.
I remember when I started getting a lot of the demos that they were working on for Color Decay.
Mm-hmm.
Even rewinding back to The Act, the record right before that, when Prada started to kind of like shift the direction just a little bit and add some new elements in. The first song that I heard that was more of like the heavier active rock direction was Chemical.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing that and just like, oh, damn. Like, this, one, is not what I was expecting, but two, like, the emotion that even the demo invoked, I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Man. Like, this is heavy in a different way.
Yep.
And looking at, like, thinking about how that attaches to our lives now as, some mid and late 30-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
There are struggles that we all go through now in our 30s that are even more real than they did when we were teenagers. You know,
Right.
when we were teens, it was all this formative stuff, like first time experiencing all these things as we're growing up.
Yep.
But now as like young adults who we're at that age now where a lot of our friends are having kids or second or third kids.
Yeah.
You know, people are like years into their careers, and you look at the world around you and all the things that are directly affecting you and the art that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more tangible and sobering now. It's less universal and very more like pinprick specific.
Yep.
Like off of Color Decay, I think the song that like hit me the most was Trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I remember, you know, back when I was, you know, dealing with a motorcycle accident, feeling like an actual, like, true panic attack as like an adult for the first time in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I had to actually stop and think, is like, did they write this about me? Like,
oh wow.
It was like somebody got in there, scalpeled it out, and put it in a song. And I'm just like, I remember hearing that chorus, and I'm just like holding on to the kitchen sink, just ugly crying into the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Just like, this is too real. This is too on the nose. And I mean, that's what you want with music. It's not like, it's weird being able to listen to one of our own songs, like Cancer, same thing. Like, I still to this day can't play that song and not have to like choke back tears.
Right.
Like, it's the real struggles you're actually feeling that attributed to the writing of these songs that
mm-hmm.
I hope, you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, that song's too soft. It's not heavy enough. There's no breakdowns. There's this or that. I want old Prada. I want this. And it's like, I get that. I totally get that. As someone that like, I will always go to, you know, my highlight reels for old music that I loved, you know, like Thrill Seeker from August Burns Red.
Right,
like,
of course.
11 out of 10 no notes. That record changed how I approach a drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
The Unearth, The Oncoming Storm.
Oh, dude.
that record changed how I approach a drum kit. The Bled, Pass the Flask,
mm-hmm.
changes how I approach a drum kit. So like, yeah, I get it. Everyone is 100% allowed to feel that way and allowed to think that. And because of all of the old Prada discography, I wouldn't have an incredible job with people that I love today if it weren't for that. So I think it's important to recognize that that is such an integral part of, you know, my existence here with this band, and trying to carry the torch as best as I can, to pay homage to that, but also to kind of like give my 5 cents when it's asked for.
Dude, 100%.
But I think something that a lot of the fans of heavy music in general kind of forget is like, you have to adapt, you have to change.
Yes.
Your mind is going to change, your emotions are going to change, how you feel tomorrow is going to be different.
Yep.
You know it, and that was in my wedding vows to my wife. I love the person you are and the person you're going to become.
There you go.
And I think that's such an important thing to also carry on with music, is like, it's not going to sound the same. At least I hope it doesn't. Like, I can't sit still for more than 20 minutes at a time. So for me,
it should be different because the band is changing and the people in it are changing. And if they care enough to write something they believe in, it's going to be different because their mind has maybe changed, or their what they've experienced has changed since the last record. So it makes sense. And like, I don't know, with you guys, to me, it's like this is my favorite album, like since Dead Throne, right? I was just blown away. I was just like, I can't believe how awesome this is. Like, it's just perfect to me. I don't know. I loved it, man. It's like a really solid record. And
appreciate that, brother.
It
means a lot to hear that from somebody that's appreciated the band since day one.
Yeah, dude. No, it's, I remember telling my boy, I was like, guys, you got to check this out. Like, I have like a thread with I'll call it my metalcore homies. I was like, dude, this is the jam. Please, I'll put this on. And I told them, like, Noise is my favorite track. But I don't know. That track is like, wow. The chord progression and like the chorus is so gripping. And
I love all the turnarounds in the beginning with like little kick scrapes. Dude, I love that part.
Oh, dude. Yeah. And that right before the end, your fill. Dude, I can't. I just like, I put it on when I run and I like go. No one can stop me. I'm like,
I love ending things with just like snare flam, no hit after that, just on snare hit on the 4.
Yeah, rips, dude.
There's a couple. In Ritual, I think there's a couple like snare bombs on like the and 4.
Yeah,
like I love that. I love that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's just like
keep it up.
It feels like a big old exclamation point. You hear it's just like, bam. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. No, it feels good.
I do have a question now with snare bombs being questioned.
Oh, interesting.
How do you feel about them?
When
there's like an aggressive wet reverb tail at the end of it.
Live, right? Because okay. It's funny. Back, let's say it was 2008 to like 12, I was like all about it. But for some reason now I'm like indifferent to them. I don't mind them.
Same.
But I'd rather just have the snare as is.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I'm over the snare bomb.
Yeah, I think
I'm over the snare bomb.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think it makes or breaks the heaviness of a breakdown.
Definitely not.
Or a track. I would rather have there be breathing room there rather than just like a super wet, drippy reverb tail after a snare hit. Dude. I'm like, let me just hear the short decay of a snare drum.
I agree.
Maybe the natural reverb in the venue.
Yeah, like, same thing with like 808. It's like it was a thing. Yeah. But I'll still take like an 808 sometimes over a snare bomb.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I prefer the 8. I think the 808 has more of a grabs you by the marbles, so to speak, than a snare bomb. Because a snare bomb, if the snare was not tuned well.
Okay. So, dude, I was gonna say it's not the sound of the snare.
It's not the sound of the snare.
Yeah.
So it feels manufactured. It sounds like sometimes, and this is not all the times. This is sometimes. Just like I notice it sometimes listening back to like some shows and just like the modern scene where everything's a snare bomb. Everybody's going for that reverb tail.
Yeah. That's funny,
bless you, Jimmy Boswell. I love you. I respect your snare bombs. But
yeah.
Personally, I could do without snare bombs.
Yep, I agree.
I am pro vetoing the snare bomb.
Yep, you heard it here, friends.
You heard it here first. Snare bomb's got to go away.
Yeah, you're right though. The silence, dude. When it's that tight, and you've got the bass drum and the guitars are locked in, again, nothing. Just give me that space, and I'm just like, ooh,
yeah. Or like you just hear like the frequency of like the chime off to the right, dude. or a crash or open hi-hats. I will say,
okay,
I love that's a new thing, and I really started noticing it a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give a shout out here to Jake Smelly of Gideon.
Yeah,
you want to talk about a hoss of a man behind a drum kit, and just one of the best humans I've ever met on the face of the planet. Jake fucking Smelly.
Yeah.
That dude is a living icon and motif.
Ooh, this is fun. Okay.
What this dude did, I gotta look up the song because there's this hi-hat thing that he did on one of the newer songs.
That newer record too, the newest record, dude. I texted him after. I was like, bro, this is different. Like, these songs are sick. Yeah, that's a cool band. That's like your favorite band's favorite band. So many of the homies love Gideon, and I love that. Oh, I love it. I can hear it. It's recording too.
Halfway through this breakdown.
Yeah.
It's another hi-hat.
Oh. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
The first time I remember he posted, I think like in their Instagram stories or something, and he was like tracking that part.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching the stories like, brother, what is happening right now? I need to hear more, because whatever you're doing is filthy, and I need to hear it in context of the music, because something tells me it is dirty.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard it, and that's off the record, the song's called Take Me.
Yep.
It's from their 2019 release, Out of Control.
Yeah.
And that song, I mean, every Gideon song, let's be real, but that song specifically, when I heard that breakdown, I'm like, I want to go face first through like a double pane glass window to this right now.
Yep. I think, to me, he is one of the dudes that started that, like the closed hi-hat breakdown stuff, man. And then a lot of people followed
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I mean, somebody prove me wrong, or Jake, if you watch this, let me know if you heard it somewhere else, or like what it is. I need to get to the lineage of this closed hi-hat breakdown stuff.
It's
but also,
fire.
That being said, I love a 4 on the floor closed hi-hat drum beat while a breakdown is happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I know
Kublai Khan, I feel like has got one of those.
Kublai Khan,
couple.
Kevin from Knock Loose, Paxson, he does that a lot, and I think that just, it's so poignant and just sturdy.
Dude.
I think sturdy is a good word for it.
Oh, I like that.
It holds up really nicely.
Sturdy.
But it's like, you think of the simple things in heavy music that have like, like Knock Loose pick called Knock Loose Motherfucker. Yeah. And it's just so simple, but it's just heavier than a coffin nail, man. Just damn.
And sometimes the space, you're right, it can like...
The space.
Be heavy. It can be heavier.
Yeah,
less is more nowadays in some
regards. Less is more. I mean, dude, think of it like this. A lot of us metalcore and hardcore drummers, we're all playing one up, one down. Yeah. I mean, I will say I am adding a second floor tom on this fall headliner. Nice. I'm adding an 18 off to my left.
Good choice.
A la Alex Camarena.
Yep.
He inspired me. He was rocking that Latin percussion trash can off to his left.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I like that. And then at the drum shop one day, I was playing a kit that had 2 floor toms. Mm-hmm. And I always thought like trying to like reach over to my right to get to a second floor tom was so awkward.
Yeah.
And like uncomfortable. So I was like,
do you still think that? Because I think so. I have 2, and I don't.
100%.
I don't really like it. I want my 16 because I got a 14, and I regret buying the 14. I should have gotten 18 because I think I would be less sad.
Yeah. Well, but what I would recommend you doing, I don't know if it was a Travis Orban thing.
Okay.
But that's a whole other thing. Yeah. That dude is a monster behind the kit.
Yeah.
Have you ever played? Did you ever play tenors in drumline?
No, but I played them before. I was a jazz trumpet player. But
that's right. I remember you. You were a brass guy. You were a brass guy.
But I know what they are, and I've played them before. Yeah.
But there's if you think about the flow of tenors, so you're just general sticking down the drums.
Yep.
Right, left, right, left. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. If you think about doing a basic linear fill, just a roll down the toms. With that sticking in a comfortable way, what you should do is put your 16 directly where your floor tom goes.
Yep.
And then put your 14 next to that.
Oh, this is interesting.
Ooh. So whenever you're doing a roll down the toms, you're going right, left, right, left.
Oh, wow.
Rather than trying to change your sticking to go right, left, right, left.
Right.
Then you would just go right, left, kick.
Yeah.
It's a little more ergonomic that way.
Yeah.
It's a little more ergonomic that way.
And I just need that beef next to me. Yeah.
So that being said, that's why I decided to do the 18 off to my left-hand side.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like a CNC kit that I was demoing.
Okay.
I think so. So it was like a bigger kick drum, bigger rack tom. I think it was it might have been a 24 or 26. 13, 16, 18, something like that.
Okay.
And I remember just like I had already demoed the kit. I had already set it up, one up, 2 down, both onto that side, just for the sake of keeping it in frame of the camera lens. And afterwards, I'm like, I wonder what Alex or like why Alex has from Silent Planet has his second floor tom off to his left. So I'm
You
like,
know what
let's
that
try
drum
that.
actually is, my bro? That mirror chrome drum? That's a
Yeah.
Slipknot tom. That is a
No
Slipknot
way.
concert tom from Jay's
No.
first kit with Slipknot.
No way.
When he came by the shop, we were like cleaning up, and I was like, "Bro, I want you to have this." That
Dude,
was
no.
played by like Clown or something. It's pretty
That's
crazy.
wild.
It's a gong drum. Yeah.
Do you remember when LP was making like that?
Yes, that's what
kind of
Jake
thing?
had. Jake Smelly had one of those. Because I was talking to the drum tech for Neck Deep, Matt, at the time, and he's like, Matt, you got to check out Jake Smelly, man. I was like, okay, tell me who this dude is. And then he showed me videos, and he was crushing that LP like trash can.
Oh yeah, and it sounded awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool, so deep, just like smacked. Yeah,
and that's like, I wanted to do something different for this fall run. I'm like, I don't need more cymbals.
Right.
Like, I already have too many. Oh, you can never have too many cymbals.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to add another cymbal stand.
Right.
And we're not at this size yet where I can really go with a rack just yet. As much as I want to.
Yeah.
As much as I want to live my rig.
Man, they're back.
So I've been talking to Gibraltar, because I'm a Gibraltar artist.
Cool.
So like I've been.
You talk to Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dude. SJC
yeah,
boy.
Small world. Yeah, so I've been talking to Travis to develop one. I don't think we're there yet. Just Prada's just not at small arena level yet. Like there'll be some shows or some tours where I would have to like pare it back.
Right.
Considering I would have to like kind of chop and screw some of the like current cymbal stands to make it work. It just didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense quite yet.
Right.
I'm pushing for it. But I also I don't want to shoot my drum tech in the foot or front of house or just inconvenience a support band by being like, oh, here's this big rack that has to live here now. We ain't there yet.
It's cool.
Aspirations are important.
Yeah, of course.
But the trash can, left hand side. So after I demoed this kit for like the YouTube and then the Instagram reel, I'm like, I'm gonna see what the hype's about. So I threw the 18 on my left hand side. I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
This is sick as hell. And everything just flowed so naturally.
Yep.
And I'm like, I get it. This is perfect. I have not played a 3-tom setup since 2004.
Wow. Yeah. It's so different. What's really different, like 2 floor toms, you can like pretend that the other one's not there, but when you have 2 racks, because I've got 2 up, 2 down right now, and just like kind of messing around is wild, bro. You just go prog. I'm just playing a lot of Dream Theater.
Yeah. Or covering a lot of ABR.
Dude. Yeah.
Yep.
There's something about a 10 that sound like boom.
Yeah. If a tom could sound delicious,
a
10-inch tom tuned well sounds delicious.
Especially if you take the snares off, you're just like, oh, let me just keep hitting this 10.
Dude, that's why I love that Spin Doctors record, because the way that those toms are tuned is, to me, is like the quintessential alternative rock tom sound. Dude, like whenever we get off this call, do yourself a favor and go revisit that Spin Doctors record.
Yeah.
And just listen to that mix in general. The mix is impeccable, but the drum tones on that record,
can't wait.
Unbelievable.
They just came up on like a 90s playlist too, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot about this band. They freaking rip.
Dude, I've been on a big 90s kick lately.
We're biased because that's what our music was, but I still think it's some of the most unique music written ever.
Dude, like listening to bands like Dishwalla or like Gin Blossoms.
Yeah, dude.
All the stuff that were like the quintessential soundtracks to like all the rom-coms growing up. Just like,
dude, it's like,
this is very nice. This is a treat.
Always go back. Wow.
Favorite rom-com, go.
Oh, Love Actually.
Classic.
Yeah,
classic.
Dude. Because like I remember I watched it so many times when it came out, because at that time I was really looking for love, bro. So I was like, I need that whole scene, like with the cards to happen to me, or the guy that met like Aurelia and he's like, I want you to marry me. I was like, yo, I want this to happen to me. That's so funny, bro. What about you?
I would have to say Serendipity.
Nice.
John Cusack, Kate Beckinsale. Forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm saying, a tale of two cities indeed.
That's so funny, man. And then I think like, oh my God, Love Actually became like too overplayed. And then I felt funny saying it was, but it really was. Like it's
Hey,
still good.
You know what I've been thinking about over the last couple of years. Well,
Mhm.
longer than the last couple of years, but everyone, for a long time always said guilty pleasures. Guilty. What's your guilty pleasure music? It's like if it's something that brings you joy, hence a Chapel Roan hat.
Yeah.
It is never something you should feel ashamed about.
No.
So I am a very, very avid believer of there's no guilty pleasures. There's things we enjoy and there are things we don't enjoy.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that we live in a very wonderfully unique time that all of the art coming out, all the music coming out, like it really is anyone's game. Anybody is capable of doing whatever they want to do. Like there's not really anything holding you back but yourself.
Yep.
Like
That's
watching
right,
the coolest thing that I discovered about Chapel Roan, as a lot of us have, when now that she's this massive. super pop star, like seeing videos of her populate now from like when she was just getting started.
Yeah.
And I've had the joy of getting to know her drummer Lucy.
Cool.
Over the last like year and a half or so. She was coming through Pittsburgh before she was playing for Chapel on a touring Broadway production, the Jagged Little Pill production.
No kidding.
And she came into the drum shop one day, and like where we're at the drum shop, like if there's not a concert happening next door and somebody just randomly walks into the shop on like an off day, it's like, I can tell you're not from here, but also like, what is there something I can help you find? She's like, oh, and just explain herself. She's like, no, I'm from Jersey. I live in LA. I'm playing for this touring Broadway production. We're doing a residency at the Benedum this week.
Whoa.
And she's like, I found your shop on Instagram and I wanted to come check it out. And she was just wonderful and super pleasant and super stoked about drums. And, I told her that I was, in touring band as well. And we were just swapping, travel stories. And she was saying that she's super stoked to like one day play with like a touring band.
Yeah. Wow.
And fast forward, not even like a year later, she hit us up at the shop. She's like, hey, I'm coming back through. And that was right around the time where we started up that project Live from the Drum Shop.
Okay.
Where we do the live filming of touring drummers coming through and doing a playthrough of one of their songs while we film it. And they pick all their, all the gear they want to play off our shelves to put a kit together.
That is so cool.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. So it's a really cool time.
Wow.
We have some cool ones coming up, so I'm very excited.
Nice.
Very excited. We got some players coming.
Oh, sick, dude.
And she came through and she got to film one, and then myself, the Chris Hawthorne, Caden from Pool Kids all went to the concert that night. She played Stage AE, which is indoor, is I think 2,500 cap.
Wow.
Around there. Sold out. Packed to the gills.
Yeah.
And at this point, I didn't really know her music all that well. I know she was starting to like gain some. I started to like hear a little bit of her name whispered to the internet. And we went to the show.
Yeah.
And I have never seen that many. Like everybody was dressed up like wearing like the pink cowboy and cowgirl outfits and the non-binary pink cow person outfits, we'll say.
Got you.
And I was so floored because everyone in that crowd was having the best fucking time of their life, singing every word to every song. Like it was wild to see. And I'm like, oh, this Chapel Roan person is apparently a very big deal, because I felt like I was out. Like I was like, I missed the train, didn't I? Because like this is so good.
Yeah.
Like she got this song called Casual.
Oh, dude, that's my wife's favorite song.
that song gives me Shania Twain, The Woman in Me vibes. Like to a fucking T. And I grew up on Shania Twain. So hearing all of the crossovers from like Lady Gaga to Madonna to like a lot of the 80s throwback to like a lot of
she's got everything going on, bro.
She's covered like her range. Her range is impeccable. And every musician in her band, Lucy included, are absolute players.
Shred.
Absolute players. A couple of my pals also in the touring world have worked with her guitarist as well, because I think her guitarist, Devin, is her name. She was also playing on the Katy Perry camp for a while too. So just like
saw that.
Killer players.
Bass player rips.
Yeah, Allie. Yeah, she also has her own side project, and her music is also incredible. Like it's just wild to see music and art alive and well.
Yeah, dude.
Especially in an era where things are definitely getting progressively more and more electronic. I will say, I as a drummer, I have some complaints that I like to file.
Yeah.
But as someone that also really likes electronic music, I can't knock on it too hard, because it's be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, like Charlie XCX new album, just rips,
incredible, dude. Incredible.
You know,
like
what's crazy?
It took me. Go ahead.
Just real quick, she is engaged to George, the drummer of the 1975, who produces like all their songs. Also produces a lot of her songs. I love George. That guy blows my mind what he can do with music.
Yeah, and he's like an incredible drummer. I'm like,
dude, he's so good.
Can I have some of your can I have some of your saws, please? Like,
can I have your hi-hat? I want all of his hi-hat intricacies.
Dude, have you seen 1975 live?
4 times, baby.
I've now only seen them twice, but we had an off day on tour on I think it was the first leg of the Metalcore Dropouts. Yeah, it was the first leg of Metalcore Dropouts. We had a day off in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and they happened to be coming through at like whatever the big arena is down there.
What year was this? So I can just
picture. This was on the At Their Very Best tour.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
So very recent.
Yeah.
Just last fall.
Yep.
Fall of 2023. In like October, I believe. So almost a year ago. Coming up on almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Jeremy found tickets on, I think, like StubHub or something for like $60 a pop. So he just bought a grip of them for a bunch of people to go.
Yep.
And I had, at that point, I think I might have like heard maybe 2 1975 songs before. I wasn't a fan, but I also wasn't I just didn't know.
Yep.
Simply did not know. Yeah. So I went like all the guys are going. It's like a nice family outing. Half the tour package is going. And Brendan from Counterparts, Gabe, their tour manager, and also he's one of the agents for Tandem, and Jeremy are like linked arms the whole time, having drinks and singing every word at the top of their lungs. And I'm just like, oh, y'all really like this band. But then as the night progressed and I'm just watching this band, I'm like, this is sonically one of the greatest performances I've ever seen or heard.
Yeah, man.
It sounded unreal. The stage production was so cool. Like built out that sitcom set on stage. And dude, it was, I couldn't wrap my mind around it of how cool and how just like pleasing to the ear it was.
Yeah.
It was so good to the point that when I got home from that run, that tour was still happening and happened to be coming through Pittsburgh. So I legit, like, I got online that night, bought a ticket, and went to that show by myself.
There you go. Oh, okay. That's what, dude, I got the rectangle right here, bro. I am like a 1975er, like you have no idea.
I had myself a little snack. I went and stood in the middle of the crowd.
Oh, dude.
I just took it in.
I love it. Yeah, that's how you got to do it, man. Unreal. Unreal band. Dude, a lot of heavy dudes like them, too.
Well, it's like, so here's the thing with playing heavy music.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up playing jazz. I grew up listening to, Motown. I grew up, like, I grew up not really being inspired by heavy music until I was in high school. Middle school and high school. So, like, now that I've been playing it for so long and listening to and digesting so much of it, I'm like, dude, if I can just, like, go listen to, Peter Gabriel for a couple hours or, Michael McDonald or, like, a yacht rock playlist, I'm like, hey, give it to me.
Good.
1975, there's synths, there's cool bass lines, there's pocket grooves,
dude.
There's gorgeous orchestrations on the records. Yeah, I will listen to that. Hands down.
Yep.
Chapel Roan, give it to pop music, give it to me.
Yeah.
Some hip hop. Hip hop.
Yeah. I'm the same. Yep.
90s country, modern country, some.
Yeah.
I will say I am a new goer to country concerts.
Yep.
I've now been to a Brothers Osborne concert.
Okay.
unbelievable. 10 out of 10 would go again.
Nice.
Sam Hunt.
Yeah.
Also 11 out of 10 would go again.
Yeah.
And this isn't just because knowing drummers and knowing people in the camp. This is like, that got me in to a spot that I normally would not have sought out going to this concert I didn't know people that were working for the
right,
the artist or the camp. But the third one is Co Wetzel, obviously Jared.
Bro. Of course, Jared.
Dude. Like one of the sweetest guys.
Co Wetzel, for my wife and I, he's our number one artist that we share together.
No way.
Dude, we just went the other night to Boston. Bro, we know every Co Wetzel song. We were the top 0.5% of listeners in 2022 for Co Wetzel, each of us.
Damn. Dude, he brought out a rowdy crowd in Pittsburgh.
Crazy.
Yeah, that Co Wetzel brought a rowdy crowd to Pittsburgh.
That's so sick that you went.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
Oh, I freaking love him, man.
It was so nice getting to like meet Jared's team and like all those dudes. Like everybody was so sweet and so accommodating and just wonderful.
So fun.
It was a very fun performance too. That dude still rips, man. He still got it.
He got it, dude. Mr. Jared. I gave him some his birthday gift. Happy belated, by the way. I saw that your birthday was end of July, I think.
Thank you there, friendo.
Yep. I gave him a set of his own like clamps for the gym. Like for the bar. Yeah, he was like, I needed these. I was like, hell yeah, brother. Get big.
That's fan, funny. Baby.
Yeah, man. That's so sick. Wow.
Yeah, I was joking with him. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna catch up to you real quick, son.
There you go.
He was always like a Captain America looking just
so tall.
Diesel. Yeah. No, he's a great guy, man. I'm so glad that he's still doing it.
Yeah.
I love that there's such like a metal to country pipeline right now.
Yeah.
You know, Cody Ash. Like,
yeah, man.
A Jelly Roll.
Crazy.
It's so wild. And the thing that I think I love most about the music industry is just such a wonderfully small world.
Yeah.
Especially with drummers too, because we are all most certainly our own unique breed of human as drummers. That I think all of us drummers that kind of realize that about each other. So it's just thicker than thieves.
Yeah. So rad, man. All right. So I've had this in my mind because I was thinking, like, knowing the whole Prada catalog, I wanted to ask you this because there are definitely parts for me that I know, and like each album has moments, right? A lot of Prada songs have moments. They build up, it's coming. You're like, it's so epic. Is there a specific breakdown or part, any Prada song that you're like, every time you play it, you like are anticipating it because it's so fun and you actually love the part?
Oh.
To the point where you're so excited that you don't want to mess it up, but you like can't wait to play it.
I will say one of my favorite Prada songs I think we've ever played live is Anatomy off of Zombie 1.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
That whole song front to back is just a journey.
Yeah.
It is so busy.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
But in a fun way. Like there are definitely songs off, like I remember the first song I had to learn off Zombie 1 was Outnumbered.
Oh yeah.
And dude, I remember like listening to that, like, I'm not a deathcore drummer. How the fuck am I supposed to play this? Like, I don't know if I get like that intro.
I'm like, what is he doing? Is it alternating? I don't know.
On the record, if you like really listen, like if you throw that in Moises and slow it down too, the hands are going crash between crash and hi-hat, or two crashes and then hi-hat. So I think it might have been programmed.
Oh, interesting.
I think it, honestly, like listening to that record, I feel like a lot of the drums were programmed.
Very interesting. Okay.
Or at least very processed.
Got it. Okay.
Because the sticking, I had to rework a bunch of shit.
Got it.
Once that we started playing like some of the more of the Zombie 1 stuff to like get it to work for one, my abilities.
Yeah.
Or deathcore lack thereof.
Okay.
And some of this stuff. So the sticking on the beginning of Outnumbered is right, left, blast, blast. So those left-hand hits are actually hi-hat. So you're going, your feet are going at the same time, going, so those last two left-hand hits, that one and the other one are two open hi-hat and then open close hi-hat hits. So it's
Okay.
Into single stroke rolls.
Yeah.
Down the toms.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Crazy shit.
I remember it took me probably like a week to like break that song apart and like find a way to comfortably play it to my ability.
Got it.
Where it was being played like it sounded on the record.
Yeah.
And I remember like listening to it at first and scratching my head like, please tell me there's some sort of a live YouTube video so I can see what the hell Danny's playing on this, so I can try and like emulate it, or at least like screen record it, reverse it, and transpose it.
Yeah.
So
wild.
It took watching it live a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he played it a little bit differently live.
Right.
I think he just went big hits at the beginning. Okay. Something like that.
Yeah.
But me being the toxic brain that I am, I'm like, perfection only.
Well, hey man, it translates. I mean, like, you're so consistent, and I know, dude, like so many other homies that I've talked to, and they're like, dude, he's so good. Giuseppe's so good. He's like so consistent every night. He never messes up. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I'm just really good at hiding when I do.
Okay, hey, that's really a skill. That's a skill.
Really good at hiding when I do.
Wow.
I mean, because like there's obviously those moments in a set where you're doing something fast, or like there are some fills in the set that I'll change up, just for the sake of like mixing it up, little things here and there, a little salt and pepper, if you will.
Yeah.
And we played in Cincinnati the other night at Ohio's for Lovers Festival.
Yeah, I saw that.
And literally one of the parts I messed up was the first verse of Chemical. Like literally like eighth notes on the floor tom, and I went to do just some sort of just like a little ditty down the toms, splitting up two of the phrases, and my stick got caught under my auxiliary hi-hat.
Oh, dude.
And I missed a snare hit on 3.
Oh man. Happens, dude.
So when that snare hit's not there, you fucking notice. And that was the one I think I got it on my GoPro. I'll send it to you. That's the one. That's the one.
That's funny, man.
But it's funny, like looking, like recording some of the sets from time to time on GoPro and like looking back at the parts that, like I try not to dwell on the mistakes that I do make during a set. I can make note of them. And early on, I was like very, very hard on myself about that. And I think like having that accountability is definitely important, because that kind of stuff in like the professional world can get you canned.
Right. Oh yeah.
So that's why it's like important to like, if you make a mistake, don't let anybody know you made a mistake.
Yeah. There you go, dog.
Or if John, our MD, is like giving you that look of,
right, like, hey,
stink eye, like shit. Reel it in.
Yeah.
But no, it's a really good outfit that we got. Everybody in the like Mason, our bassist, he's one of the best bassists I've ever played with. He's a monster. Awesome. Kyle's right hand on that freaking lead guitar. That dude is a machine.
Yep.
Forearm of steel.
No, dude. Yeah, like the current formation of Prada is fucking sick, dude. You guys, like you said, like you were like, oh, one day we'll get. I mean, I really think if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll get that rack. You'll get that tour, man. I mean, it's just getting better and better. It's getting better
manifesting
and better.
It, dude. Manifesting
that's all you can do, man.
My biggest thing right now, something that I'm like trying to pay more attention to, is getting back to playing for me.
There you go.
Like when I'm home and just like I've just been spending a lot of time in rehearsals.
Yeah.
And not a lot of time practicing. And there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And because right now I'm at this interesting plateau where it's like, like our peers are like, yeah, you're great, you're an awesome drummer. And, having like we at the drum shop, we call them drum shop chops. Where, sitting down, being able to like rip out the Porcaro Toto groove, or like a good shuffle, or like a good, gentle jazz swing when you're demoing like a lot of the vintage kits.
Yeah.
Like there's that. And that stuff's a lot of fun. And, there's still times where like I'll do 4 takes of a demo in the drum shop because there are days where I get in there and I'm like, I'm not playing well today and I can't nail a fill. I'm missing rim shots. I'm just playing slop. those are moments where I definitely find myself like getting frustrated because I'm like, I'm missing this stuff because I don't feel like I'm spending enough time practicing and keeping the sharp tools in my tool belt.
Yeah.
And I think that's something once you get into like a working band that it becomes very challenging to keep up with as far as time management is concerned. Is like spending time on a practice pad, warming up before a set, stretching before you play, working on new rudiments or new stickings for fills, just like all the things that I spent so much time on when I was in high school, obsessively so.
Right.
You know, while I'm in homeroom, going to the band room, while I'm in lunch break, going to the band room.
Yeah.
I feel like finding that sweet spot of balance of doing the job, you know, being in the band, doing that, but also finding the enjoyment of playing the instrument for yourself.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm at a season of like trying to get back to center on that because it's been a very active year with the band.
Right.
With Haste today coming back as well and starting to play a couple shows.
Yeah.
And releasing new music. That's something where I'm like, okay, just power through to the end of this year.
Yep.
Get through the shows, get through the tours. So like once the new year comes around and we start the new year with an overseas tour.
Wow.
But I have most of January to kind of like come back to center. So I think that's going to be my like back to the not a resolution. I'm not a resolution.
I got you. Yeah, same.
Yeah, like you don't need to postmark something, but I feel like when you know it's time to make a shift, make a change, like your body lets you know, and it's like, all right, I think I'm ready for this like next chapter of just growth as a drummer.
Yeah.
Like I want to find some people that I can take some lessons with and just
that's cool.
Study more. You know, like work on stuff that I'm not good. Like my left hand isn't as strong as my right hand.
Right.
And this is the one that's half titanium.
Whoa.
So like, yeah. So like this, my right hand being my dominant hand, like all of the things, like when you're doing basic rudiments and exercises and stuff, you don't really think about, like whenever you're doing blast beats, what hand do you use?
So if my left is on the snare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I blast right-handed.
Interesting.
I open hand blast. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I guess if I was on the hi-hat though, my left is on the hi-hat, my right hand's blasting, but if I'm on the ride, my left hand's blasting, obviously. So that's interesting. Yeah, I do switch it up. I guess I do both. It depends on what the cymbal is.
Well, I guess it also depends on what type of blast. If you're just doing straight up like classic hammer blast, like open hi-hat, snare.
Yeah.
But then obviously you have like the alternating guy where you're playing like the 30 seconds with the accents on the ride bell.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind of blast, I guess. It's like the Death Heaven blast, I'll call it.
Yep, or the Mac Reiner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Jeez.
I call it the little Suburbia.
Yeah.
The little Suburbia blast.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Interesting.
But
freaking love blast beats.
I remember the breakdown now from Anatomy.
Okay.
It's the shotgun blast breakdown.
Oh, dude. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, dude. I listened to that the other day on a run. I was like, oh, man. Oh, yeah. You just must be able to.
No, that's Escape. That's Escape. That's on Anatomy. Because right after that's like the crazy bridge with like that.
There's a gun going off in
Anatomy.
There. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
oh yeah. That must be so fun, dude. Yeah.
Check it out.
Oh, dude.
Yes. That one right there. Because there's all those weird little punctuated fills in the middle of that breakdown where I'm like, oh, this is so much fun.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's just laying into it, dude.
That part's a lot of fun to play.
Fuck yeah.
But then you have, I would say, the most challenging in the entire Prada discography to play is definitely Contagion off of Z2.
Okay. Yeah.
Only because of the footwork, dude.
Yeah.
The footwork.
Yeah.
I pushed myself to the brink, like the extent of my footwork capabilities to play that song. So when we did the Zombie tour 2 summers ago.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It was.
Brother.
Oh shit.
I had to train like an Olympian for that tour to make it through that set because playing Contagion every night damn near killed me.
Yeah. Now, okay, and to train, what would that look like? as someone who's not a drummer.
Cardio.
Right. It is, right? Okay. Because I noticed like my double bass is getting better as I run more. I do CrossFit, and I'm like, I have more control. I think it comes down to being able to have control over your legs.
Control.
Down to your foot. Yeah.
It's control without tensing up.
Exactly. Because if you get too tired, you're like, oh, I can't move.
If you get too tight and you cramp, you fatigue.
Yep.
It's like you ever get like side stitches when you're running?
Yeah.
Like the runner's cramp.
Right.
So like I'm a new runner.
Okay.
I'm not really a runner yet, but I'm an aspiring runner. I do a couple miles a week.
Yeah.
And it's like that feeling whenever, but in your, if I'm tensing up too hard, it happens in my hip flexors.
Yeah.
In the upper quads.
Yeah.
And the muscle group right to the right of your right shin and to the left of your left shin. Like if you're sitting at a chair, lift up your toe, like keep your
exactly
heels dug in.
About. Yep.
Lift up your toes. That muscle that you feel flexing.
Yeah.
That's where I definitely like, because when I'm playing double bass, I'm playing a belt-driven pearl eliminator pedal.
Okay.
With the spring tension cranked, with the blue cams on them, and like a medium cam swing.
Okay.
And I have, so it's not the stock setting.
Right.
And I also have the beaters sunk in just a little bit lower into the actual cams than stock.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people, they like to have like their pedals like pretty long to get that full swing.
Right.
I keep mine like
a
little bit shorter just for the sake of speed and control.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And I also like
momentum to control. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I play I play with the ball of my foot. My heel's always up. I don't bury.
My heel's always up too. Yeah.
Yeah. So my heel's always up. And the biggest thing is I'm not actually pressing on the pedal. Like that's why I have my spring tension cranked. So if my foot is resting on the beater's not on the head.
Got it. Because it's, oh wow.
The spring tension is so tight that it's keeping, like you actually have to depress the pedal.
Fascinating. I'm not sure. Now I want to go check mine after. Okay.
Because like I know some people that prefer having their spring tension on their pedal super loose because they feel that it gives them more power and it's less fighting against their foot.
Right.
But that I notice whenever I sit down on pedals like that, my calf and my shins have to work harder to get one stroke out of that pedal.
Okay.
Whereas if I have my spring tension cranked, all I have to do is just drop one of these little getaway sticks and it's boom, there's a hit. And the pedal stays with my foot for every hit.
Got it. All right. Make total sense to me, man. I'm gonna mess around with my springs.
It's as any drummer will say, it's a long, weird rabbit hole. Because like that's something that as a metal drummer you can obsess over for hours and hours, and like I haven't lost sleep over it, but like pedal settings are something that we as metal drummers or just hardcore just drummers playing with a double bass pedal we obsess over just because
it matters though.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like it's partially a bad craftsman blames the tools.
Right.
But then there are certain things I can do on other people's pedals and certain things I can't. Like I can almost play a couple measures of bleed on my pedals.
You're gonna say that. I was like, it's gotta be bleed. Yeah.
Like I can almost play a couple measures of that on my pedals.
Whatever works for you, man. You got to figure it out.
I can't play them on Matt Griner's pedals now. The way that he has them set because he's got those heavy DW 9000s.
Yeah. And then you think it's like years of people doing it a certain way. Of course, it's going to be different than yours, and of course, a different setup is going to be hard to play. Yeah, 100%. That's cool.
Yeah, super challenging. But that's just one of the many funny nuanced things that we of course we go through.
That's right, man.
But I got us so far off topic from heavy music, and we just we're taking a cyclical journey.
No, it's all good, man. I've got like a few more things, and we'll wrap it up here. So, all right. It could be one, it could be three. I always love to ask this question because that's like, if it's a person that likes heavy music, I want to know any breakdowns from your whole journey in music that like listening. Are there any stick out breakdowns that you just like, whenever you think of a breakdown, you're like, I always compare it to this or these couple?
Yes. I'm going to give you my tops, and they're in no particular order. Okay. These are just ones I've noticed.
Love it.
My first one, because this was the first time I noticed a fill going through the one.
Okay. Oh, I know.
Pass the Flask. Red Wedding.
Yeah. Oh, man, dude. Oh, dude.
That guy. That first tom roll coming back down, landing on that snare hit on 2. I'm just like,
yeah. It sticks out and you're like, what was that?
Just happened?
Run it back. I gotta hear it again.
I remember the first time I heard that, I must have rewound that song probably like 5 times the first time I heard it. I was like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he didn't.
Yep.
That is one of the that record is chock full of cool drum moments.
Yeah.
That one, that breakdown, the breakdown in Red Wedding, Pass the Flask by the Bled.
Yep.
That's up there.
Oh yeah.
Next up, because we also shared this one, there's a lot of them on this record, but the Unearth Oncoming Storm.
Oh.
Let me pull up the specific one.
This nuts.
This record came out in 2003.
Crazy. Yeah. It's
my God.
I know. 13.
I think it was. Oh yeah, Predetermined Sky.
Yeah. God. I love that. It's coming in so clear. This is fun, dude. Oh. Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh.
They don't make riffs like that anymore.
No, man. Dude, their guitar, dude, Riff City. Oh.
Right here, though. What's that foot like?
Yeah. Nuts.
Like,
whole band's freaking out of this world.
Dude, I remember seeing them play. I think it was 2013. It was the 10-year anniversary of Oncoming Storm. Yeah. There was a venue in Pittsburgh called Altar Bar. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Old church, of course.
Cool.
That looked like a scene from the Blood Raven Blade.
Yeah. Oh,
and
sick.
Dude, I had the tour t-shirt. I'm hands on the barricade.
Yeah.
Center. Headbanging my skull off my shoulders. Sick. Having a time of my life. And around me are all these like young hardcore kids waiting for breakdowns, like standing around. It's like, what's this? I'm like, do you have any idea how important this record is? Oh. And the craziest part about that, I can't remember what drummer was playing for them at the time.
Did he have traditional grip?
Traditional grip.
Yeah.
It
crazy.
was.
So crazy.
He was playing traditional. He looked very, very large. Like he looked like a behemoth behind the drum kit.
He's tall.
And that dude played everything like 10 BPM faster than the record and like didn't even break a sweat.
Nuts.
I'm like,
nasty. He's nasty.
Oh, dude.
That even makes sense.
There are a lot of moments on that record that I'm just like, this is, if I were like, I'm talking like riding an armored bear into the apocalypse against the zombie hordes. There's a lot of moments on that Unearth. Yeah, there's a lot of moments on that Unearth record, Oncoming Storm, that I'm just like, onward, my Vikings.
Yeah, dude, powerful. It's just pure metalcore at its finest.
Yeah. One of my favorite breakdowns, and one of the breakdowns that changed how I approach time signatures.
Okay.
The 7th trumpet, August Burns Red.
Yeah.
3/4. That's all I'm going to say, because you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Right after the little whisper line, the stars begin to fall.
Yeah.
Dig-a-da-dent.
So that crazy. I was like,
Well, because the coolest part about it is when it comes back at the very end, so they play that whole long bridge of that breakdown. And then at the end of that, before it goes into the big ballady outro, the last portion of that breakdown, he changes where the snare hits are and goes halftime with the China. And I'm just like, oh my dude. God.
Nasty.
This is dripping with filth. Just like
nasty.
If filth had what we call in Italian sprezzatura.
Yeah.
Elegant without having to try. Just like ruffled shirt, like pour me more wine, peasant. This breakdown is a champagne that must be savored.
Ooh, this is good.
I only got to see them play that song once, I think.
Yeah.
And I still to this day, I remember hearing the beginning of that song and just being like, oh
it's
this is the song.
some of the best.
I gotta pull it up just because when it hits, it just is relentless.
Man. Wow, it sounds so clear. Oh yeah. Oh, classic. Oh, dude.
We'll fast forward.
This is so fun. No one's ever like brought the music into it. Oh, dude, that is so crazy.
The first time I heard that, I was like, pause.
Yep.
Start that over.
Yeah.
Start that over. I gotta count this out.
What's going on? Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's the 3/4.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the 4/3.
Oh, so crazy.
Like, I heard that and that completely changed the ball game entirely. So I'm like, you can do that?
Yeah.
That's a thing you could just like put in a metal song?
So crazy. Yeah, unique. Go. It's like, how did they think of that?
I don't know. That's like, that to me at the time was what Thomas from Meshuggah is to like all of us metal drummers now.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't until like I would say probably the past 15 years, probably about 15 years ago was when I like really started delving into Meshuggah.
Okay.
And I still can maybe only play like two of their songs. Maybe.
It's just everything
not
about
proficiently.
Yeah.
It's just one it's one of those bands I listen to when I need to think about.
Yeah.
Just think about playing drums.
It's so fun to try to figure it out though. Like when you can figure out the pattern and come back to the one, hopefully it's like, oh, okay.
It's like doing a puzzle in your head.
Cyanide
like
Christ. It's so perfect. It's like,
but the ending too.
Yeah, dude.
Plus the music video for it, where they're all just in like the RV airplaying it.
Dude, just a cool band, man. Like, yes,
very
cool, a different league of their own for sure. Wow.
Here's a good drum centric band for you. That's a very far departure from heavy music.
Okay.
The National.
Oh, dude, yeah. You know, they're coming to Xfinity Center. That's like my big outdoor venue. They're playing with the War on Drugs, and it's like I know of both of them, and I know how good they are, but I've never like listened to them like hard. You know, I feel like I need to.
I love the National. Like thick or thin. I love that band. But it's like the Glassjaw situation where you either love that band or you don't, because his voice to people that don't like his voice can be off-putting.
Got it. Okay.
It's very unique.
I'm gonna check it out.
But I would say the records just, I'm sure they're probably touring on their newer material, but the records that really got me in, for me, my number one record is Boxer.
Okay.
By them. And then then I follow that with Alligator, and then High Violet.
All right.
High Violet has some really cool. There's just a lot of really clever writing just across the board with that.
I'm definitely gonna check it out because I can't listen to heavy music all the time. I gotta switch it up.
Yeah, that's like I reserve that band and another band that is very, very dear to me. It's this band from Glasgow, Scotland, called Frightened Rabbit.
Okay.
Frightened Rabbit is very in the vein of Julian Baker, Death Cab.
Yeah. Okay.
And very lyrically heavy stuff.
Got it.
Like very, you kind of have to have your head screwed on right to listen to it, unless you really want to get into your feels and are okay being vulnerable, because it's heavy. He ended up, the frontman Scott ended up committing suicide a few years ago.
Okay.
And at the time that I was, let's even rewind back to 2011 through 2014. I fronted a like folk Americana indie pop group here in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
Play guitar and sing. It was a group called Gypsy and His Band of Ghosts.
Okay.
and just me and a bunch of pals here in Pittsburgh that put this whole project together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very like Death Cab. It was very in like the early Lumineers kind of situation with like a lot more like, it was like if, that's the best way to describe it. It's like if Lumineers and Gaslight Anthem made a baby.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what the vibe was, basically, just to give you paint the picture.
Yeah.
With this band, Frightened Rabbit, like incredible songwriting, incredible lyricist. That's why like they were actually pals with the Death Cab camp.
Okay.
And, they did a tribute record a couple years after his passing that like Ben from Death Cab sang on, Julian Baker sang on. They got like a bunch of musicians that were like inspired by this band to like cover their songs, and it was just
unreal.
Ooh, heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Heavy stuff.
Wow.
Heavy stuff.
Frightened Rabbit. Huh.
You want to talk about a journey?
Yeah.
It is a journey.
Hey man,
it's some of my favorite records of like singer-songwriter probably ever written.
Wow.
Yeah, right, like Frightened Rabbit. Frightened Rabbit to me is one of those like lifetime bands that like I have to be I'm very intentional on when I listen to that band, just because of like how attached to that band I got.
I totally get. Yeah, it's like this has to be the right time, right place, or it's not going to have the effect that it deserves. I totally get it.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I remember the day one of my best friends, his name's Scott. We were in his car. We were down in like the waterfront of Pittsburgh, going to like grab food or something. He's like, "Check out this band I stumbled across," and played me one of their songs. I was like, "Oh yeah, like I am into this. This is sick." Wow. And that kind of just became like our band.
There you go.
Like for like our little like side project that we all had here in Pittsburgh. Because my best friend, he was actually my drummer for that side project.
So cool, man.
Yeah. So that's up there. But third breakdown.
Yeah.
Breakdown number 3. Oh man. Well, no, actually we're going on 4 because we got the Bled, we got Unearth, we got ABR, 4. Seventh Trumpet. There was one more. There's one more.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it is now. Impending Doom, More Than Conquerors.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right at the end.
Dude. Yep. Fire. That's a good one.
That's another one.
Nice.
But then there's so many there's so many current modern bands. Like, dude, Knocked Loose's entire discography.
Yeah, every
Gideon's
breakdown.
entire discography.
Yeah. Because they write like a lot of time it's like the breakdown is the height or like the focal point of the song, like they're climax. Working up to. They really are. Yeah. So I love it. I mean, like
that's like it's like going. Yeah, it's like kids going to an EDM show and waiting for that beat drop. Same
100%,
thing,
bro.
Give me that breakdown.
Give me that
syncopation,
breakdown, dude.
Give me that guitar linked up with the double kick pedal.
Yeah,
and just some like gross vocals on top of it.
That's right.
Let me feel angry.
That's
I'm not gonna be angry.
Exactly. It makes me happy, dude. Breakdowns make me happy. People don't get that. I'm like, this music makes me so happy. I fucking love it.
It's as a drummer, it's like the equal to like just hearing a stinky groove and you get that stank face, like, ooh,
exactly,
damn,
dude.
It's one of
I get
those.
stank faces during breakdowns.
Yeah,
all the time. That's what's up, man. Good list. A+.
Happy to oblige.
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, this was fun, bro. I learned a lot, and that's like my favorite too. I love when I like learn so much I didn't know or stuff I can look up now. So I appreciate all this insight, and you're a really good storyteller, bro. Thank you.
My pleasure, brother. It's always a pleasure to swap some yarns with an old pal.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you so much for having me out, man.
Absolutely, bro. When is the tour start? First day? Is it end of the month or early October?
I guess we kind of, in a way, kickstarted with the When We Were Young festival. And then we have a couple days off to do some production days in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Let me give you the exact date.
Yeah, for the listeners, so they know.
For the listeners.
Look up the Eternal Tour.
I should have had this all kind of prepped.
No, you're good, man.
My apologies.
You're good.
I'm doing bad about pitching my own tour here.
Don't worry about it.
October 25th at the Intersection in Grand Rapids. That is day 1.
Okay, nice. Got some time. There you go. To get that set list down, which sounds sick. So
It's long, man. It's
Fuck
long.
yeah.
It's gonna be a fun one. I'm very excited. Thankfully, it's it's nothing we're not capable of handling.
Right.
But there's gonna be a lot of really cool little treats and some Easter eggs in there for a lot of folks. So I'm very excited.
So
I mean,
sick.
with the discography spanning almost 20 years, it's
like crazy. Yeah.
It's a lot. Not to mention learning Plagues to play it when we were young, right before I had lined this up. So I got my work cut out for me, but I am
so fun.
ready to step up to the plate for the challenge.
You got it, bro. You've got all the tools. You know the process. You're gonna rip it, dude. I can't wait. I'll be at the Palladium, Worcester.
Heck yeah,
my favorite venue in the world.
I cannot wait, dude. Talk about a legendary spot, and that spot's so near and dear to Prada too.
Yeah. Oh, I was at the DVD shoot. I didn't know I was gonna be in the DVD shoot.
Yep. I was gonna say, dude, that's where the DVD was.
Dude,
so
I was like, oh my god.
Is that where that flyer's from?
Yeah, dude. Signed. Got it framed.
That's so sick.
Go on with my buddy Mark.
I see Palladium now. That's so sick.
It was sick, dude.
That is so sick.
I will see you there, bro.
Heck yeah, brother.
Thank
I hope
you.
I run into you before then, but if not, I will see you there and we will reconnect, brother.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Have a good night. And again, thank you for coming on.
Dude, it's my pleasure, man. I appreciate you, brother. Have a great night.
You too. Later.